Night Monster from 1942 was an enjoyable, classic Universal monster film featuring a mysterious creature, a foggy old estate, and themes of insanity, revenge, and psychiatry. Bela Lugosi gets top billing for this film, but he's honestly not in this film a very great deal at all. Well, the film opens up with the character of Margaret Ingston, actress Faye Helm of Wolfman and Phantom Lady fame, and she finds her housekeeper mysteriously cleaning bloodstains off the carpet. Not really sure what's going on here, but something mysterious right off the bat. Now, meanwhile, Millie the maid, played by actress Janet Shaw, tries to call the local police because she thinks there's some funny business that's been going on in this estate as well. But out comes Rolf the butler, played by Bela Lugosi. Now, he tells her off that she shouldn't be using the phone for personal calls like this, but, she's had enough and she quits. Now, Rolf won't have any of this, but Laurie, the chauffeur, comes to her rescue and agrees to drive her to town. Now, Laurie is played here by actor Leif Erikson. No, not the Hingadingadurgan Leif Erikson, just an American actor. And he drives her to town and pulls over and tries to get fresh with her, but she jumps out and leaves. Shame on you, Leif Erikson. Well, she's able to get a ride with a passing horse carriage, because, in the 1940s, horse and carriages were always passing by at the right minute. And anyhow, she gets back to town. Then we cut over to a train station where Dr. King, and this is Lionel Atwil, is arriving at a station, and he meets up with some fellow doctors. And they get a ride with Laurie to this mysterious estate. Millie, meanwhile, talks with the police about the weird happenings and even convinces the wagon carriage guy, Jed, who's played by actor Eddie Waller, who sort of resembles a leathery David Carradine, convinces him to take her back to town to get her things from the estate. Now, the doctors arrive, but Margaret seems disappointed that a particular doctor she wanted isn't with them. Millie gets her things, and when Bela opens the door to greet her, oh, how I wish he would have said, "Good evening," but no, it doesn't happen. In fact, there's just not enough Bela Lugosi in this film, but she goes in to get her stuff, and Jed, the horse carriage guy, is told by one of the people there that she'll be staying for the night, so he leaves. But as he's leaving, he notices this creepy hobbit door opening, and the frogs all get quiet, and it's really eerie, so he just hightails it out of there. Millie, however, soon leaves the place, and since the horse carriage guy is gone, she has to walk on foot. And while walking through all this fog at night, she's attacked by something creepy, but we don't see it. Well, the character Dr. Lynn Harper, played by actress Irene Hervey, is nearby. Her car has broken down, and she, around this time, hears that terrible scream. Now, she gets a ride from Dick Baldwin, played by actor Don Porter. I caught him recently with June Lockhart in the movie The She-Wolf of London. Now, he's a mystery novelist who just happens to be in the area, and he gives her a ride to the estate. And while there, they meet up with the eclectic character Kurt, played by actor Ralph Morgan. He's this wheelchair-bound old guy who lives at the estate, and he's there with his yogi, Agor Singh, actor Niles Astor. Well, they all have dinner together, all of them, the doctors and all, and they find out that these visiting doctors have all previously worked on Kurt, but they were unable to help him, and he was left paralyzed and so on, and he can only move his hand thanks to, as he describes it, a local mechanic who, with using steel bars and electric circuits, gave him some mobility. He's like a 1940s era cyborg. Crazy stuff. Anyhow, Margaret interrupts the dinner, saying she wants to meet with Dr. Harper to talk about the crazy things that are going on. But before they go, Kurt brings everyone into this demonstration of something above and beyond that of modern science. Now, Dr. King is not amused. He states, "I don't want to see the sideshow tricks of a charlatan." Oh, come on, you know what happens to the loud, opinionated skeptics in films like this one. Well, he storms out, and unfortunately, I have to say, we don't see much of Lionel Atwil's character in this film either. He storms out, and I think that's pretty much the end of him in this film. Well, anyhow, Singh starts his lecture about how all matter is composed of a single basic cosmic substance and, stuff like that. And then he does this cool trick where he goes into a trance and he makes a skeleton magically appear. It's holding a box, dripping with blood, and inside there's a mysterious gem. I mean, it's a really great trick. Margaret runs out, followed by Dr. Harper. Singh passes out from that effort of summoning the skeleton, and the skeleton and the gem, it all vanishes away. Well, meanwhile, they find Millie's murdered body out in the foggy swamp. And this is the constable character Beggs, actor Robert Homans. He makes the discovery and also finds some footprints that lead back to the estate. Aha! Margaret finally gets to speak alone with Dr. Harper, while Laurie, the chauffeur, is peeking in the window. And their talk is very short, as Laurie eventually comes in and tells Margaret that she has to go to bed. And then when he is alone with Dr. Harper, he gets all creepy and lubricious with her, and he's just a grade A creep in this film. But thankfully his creepiness is soon interrupted as Dick Baldwin and Constable Beggs arrive at the estate. And they found the murdered body and they start asking some questions. Laurie seems really suspicious, but after examining the foot sizes of everybody there to see if they match up with the footprints near the murder scene, they find no matches. But they do soon discover that Dr. King, Lionel Atwil, had been strangled to death. So he's completely out of the movie. Which is a shame, because he's a great actor. Soon after, Dr. Timmons, one of Dr. King's friends, is also discovered strangled to death. So at this point, you really have no idea what in the world is going on. Why are all these doctors dying? Well, they decide to arrest Singh for some reason. I guess he was suspicious. But he reveals that he knows who the killer is. And my goodness, this film really gets nutty towards the end. There's just so much going on. Well, Lynn and Dick go to question Margaret about the murders, and she tells them that she believes Kurt is the killer. Now, this is the old paralyzed guy. Lynn admits that she thought she saw Kurt walking in the fog at the same time that Millie was killed. But how could that be possible? And you know what? I'm going to end the review here, because we're just getting near the end of things, and offering a salient summary of everything that happens just gets more and more challenging, because this is a doozy of an ending. Here are some closing thoughts. I thought this one was inventive, and it was never quite what I expected. It's interesting to me that Bela Lugosi got the top billing, and even Lionel Atwil were in this, but neither of these two really featured in prominent roles in the film. Honestly, it's more Don Porter and Irene Hervey. And there's a familiar look to so much of the film. A lot of the settings, as Universal apparently reused leftover sets from The Wolfman from 1941 and The Ghost of Frankenstein from 42, which were still on the studio lot. And apparently, the film was shot in only 11 days. Night Monster was also the feature debut of director Ford Beebe, who also directed The Phantom Creeps from 1939. And his name, I remember, was often spoofed in the classic Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Ford Beebe. Ford Beebe. Ford Beebe.
This film is definitely a little bit different, and it's more of a whodunit more than a straight-up monster film. The production and the acting is great, and the story is crazy enough that you never really know completely what's going on or who the main villain is supposed to be, and that's fine. This just makes for an enjoyable, if silly, old classic Universal monster film, and it's one worth checking out.